they're okay. Then we would mollusks. He didn't even know what a mollusk was, but then now he has to tell me about mollusks. Anything dealing with fishing. He loved the country of Chile. He thought it was really nice country. It was long and skinny, and it had every kind of weather, and mountains and seas and cities and towns and little places. He loved the country of Chile. He didn't like it that they spoke Spanish. But it was okay because it was in South America. If he was ever gonna visit there, he thought he might have a little trouble, but I told him he wouldn't have any trouble. He's just a very, very nice man. A nice person to hang out with. And towards the end, he was going into dementia. We would get these magazines called Nostalgic America. And we would look at all the pictures, and he would tell me all the stuff that was going on, like pictures of, like Brooklyn in the 50s, and there would be all these cars, and he would go on and on and on about how to repair the car, and if this happened, and if that, this is all his knowledge. And it was just wonderful. And then he would tell me stories of, kids stretch out in the back seat and touching both ends, and just wonderful. A wonderful, wonderful, kind, loving man. And I'm really honored that I had the privilege of knowing two days. They were very much alike. I'll miss them. And I'm glad that I have all of you to share with.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we think that the biggest title we're ever going to have are those of doctors, lawyers. And I have to tell you, the biggest title we're ever going to have, being parents, grandparents. And the biggest reward we're ever going to receive, hopefully will come from our kids. If they're ever going to be so kind to say, my father is my hero. That's what I heard today from Joe. It just touched my heart. And I say, I only hope that my son is going to say the same thing. It's my privilege. I would like to ask Joe to talk about his father, his hero. Yes, sir.
He was quite a man, my father. He graduated the second grade, and he was, for all practical purposes, he was functionally illiterate. And after the second grade, he had to go work. His family put him to work to provide money so they could survive. He went, in his teenage years, he went to Idaho with the CCC and worked with them. And I don't remember exactly how often he got paid, but I know he got $30 a pay period and $25 got sent to his parents. His mother was a single mother at the time, and he got to keep $5. And he went into the service and served at Norfolk, Virginia with honor and distinction. An honorable discharge. And he opened up a TV service business. He did that for a long time. And while that was going on, I worked in the family business. And I remember on Sundays, we used to go fishing. One of the pictures up here is him holding one of his fish that he caught. We go fishing in Sheepshead Bay and Garrettson Beach, take party boats out on Sundays, and that was always great. And on Saturday nights, coming home from the store, we would stop and buy whitefish and lox and pickled herring and bagels. And that was the Saturday night, Sunday morning feast at our house. Every Saturday night and Sunday morning for years. It was really great. And sometimes he would discount it because I filled out the application. He didn't do that, but he got a job at Brookdale Hospital. Brookdale Hospital was the 5th largest private hospital in New York City. And he became the assistant director of communications for that hospital. Remember, he was functionally illiterate. And he did that in his life. For me, it was a miracle. For me, he was my hero. And when I ran the 2 marathons a couple of weeks ago up in Disney, we have running shirts, and on the back of the shirts it says, who are you, something about who are you honoring. And on the back of both of my shirts for the 2 races, I said, my dad, my hero. And he was my hero. He accomplished everything that he set his mind to accomplish. He was a father, he was a grandfather, he was a family member. He took care of us. He did what he needed to do. And he always, as you've heard, he's always did it with a smile on his face. He never complained. The people at his assisted living, when they came up to see him, always said the same thing. What a nice man he was. And he never complained. In the loony bin that's assisted living, there are tons and tons of chronic complainers. And he never complained, and they loved him for that. His heart was pure, he was funny, he always had a smile on his face. You could see in the pictures. I mean, the pictures are not, we didn't pick those out because he had a smile on his face. Margaret picked that out. It didn't matter because his smile was always there. His heart was always that way. His heart was always had a smile. And I was thinking about the downside of him being gone. The downside is that I'm not, the upside of him being gone is that I'm not on call 24/7 anymore. The downside is that I'm not on call 24/7. The upside is no more calls at 3 o'clock in the morning being angry that they wouldn't serve him breakfast. That's the upside. The downside is there's no more calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. The upside is I don't have to struggle to take him to the doctor anymore. The downside is I don't have to struggle to take him to the doctor anymore. It's a mixed blessing. It really is a mixed blessing. It's a joy and sad, both at exactly the same time. And I will treasure his memory forever. And I thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes. Stephen, will you say something now?
Thank you, Joe. Well, I also, being part of the clergy, attend a lot of funerals. And very rarely do I get so emotional as I've been so emotional today. I think the combination of knowing where he is, and such a wonderful job by our rabbi, to remind us that The goal is not here on this plane. This is not the goal. The goal is to someday be in heaven with our Father, permanently. That's the goal. But the process is what we're celebrating today. And I don't think I've been as touched as I am today in a very long time. To hear the family speak about this remarkable man. And I was sitting next to a brother, and he remarked to me that it was a simpler time, it was a better time to have a television repairman in your neighborhood that you could trust, and a shoe repair person, a baker, a black and white cookie. I don't know where we are in terms of technology and productivity and how busy we are. But it seems like your grandfather, your dad, my grandfather that passed a year ago this month, they're from an era that I think we need to continue to talk about all the time, otherwise we're gonna forget. And we're gonna think it's a text messaging, email, Facebook way of life. I don't know Silas. I only met him a few times, and that was at the last part of his life. Of course, at Joel's mom's funeral. Joel's mom's funeral, yeah, exactly. And over the last couple of years, seeing him at meetings. But I do know Joel, and Joel is a hero of mine. I think when I see a person of Joel's age that ran 2 marathons in a weekend, it tells me that I can do things that I didn't think I could do. It tells me that there's possibilities, that the Bible says that the second half of our life could be the best half of our life. And it's a mitzvah to be here with you people today. I think that hearing a second grade education and seeing all that he's accomplished with a smile on his face reminds us that it's not the things that we attain in life that people are going to remember. It's the things that we do with other people that we're going to remember. And I know all of us that are sitting here with our tears, we're sitting here with tears because we're remembering family members. We're remembering moms, dads, and grandparents. And I think it's very important for us to remember that this life is temporary. And that if we're wasting time here, we may not get to hear, my dad's a hero. That this is not a time to be just waiting for eternity. Waiting for eternity is really the saddest part of life. And I know I do it myself, and I say, well, someday it's going to be paradise. And yes, that is true. Someday it will be paradise, but it's important for us to remember that we need to create paradise here. And I think that's what you guys do, which is amazing. You guys are in constant work to make this paradise. And it's very admirable for me to watch that. I think there's a lot of work to be done. And it shows me through your dad that it doesn't seem like it's ever completed until it's completed. I remember my grandfather was always calling me at the most inappropriate, not inappropriate, but the inopportune times to fix his computer. That later in his life, he learned to get on the AOL. That was the thing, he got on the AOL. And he always called me in the middle of the hardest time in my life would be to fix his AOL. And Joel reminded me that really was the best time to call me. And I missed those calls about the AOL. I'm very blessed to be here. Thank you, Rabbi, for reminding us to